Better World Blueprint. Good humans doing good things.
Hello, I'm Siobhan Hunt. You know, sometimes the state of the world makes me feel so sad. Reading the news, it can feel like there's nobody sensible or even kind left out there in the world. So I decided to seek those people out. Kind people, smart people, people who care about leaving the world a better place than how they found it. This is a Better World Blueprint. Dementia is a scary word. If you've loved someone with dementia, it's like a death of 1,000 cuts, watching as the person you knew seems to disappear. My guest today believes those with dementia and their carers can find pockets of joy. She decided to found a choir and has witnessed the difference it can make. I hope you enjoy my chat with Sing for Joy Choir founder Sharon Stoddart. Hello, Sharon, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Siobhan.
It's a pleasure.
That's very, very lovely of you to have me on.
Oh, no, well, I'm intrigued with everything that you're doing with this choir. I'm actually in a choir myself. It's a little bit different, I'm sure, but I understand and appreciate the joy of singing. What led you to this work in particular?
I used to work in residential aged care, and I used to do music there. From the first day that I started working, my job involved providing leisure. So I brought a guitar along. I didn't know what the job was about, to be quite honest. And I started to play. I came in with 6 songs to sing with the people who lived there. And as soon as I started to play and sing this old song, I noticed that this woman who had been quiet all day, and I thought she couldn't speak, well, she started to sing. And she sang joyfully. It was full-throated, and I was gobsmacked. I was amazed. And I was absolutely hooked on the ability I had to make other people feel able and to kind of bring some, and I use this in inverted commas, some return to normal life, normal in inverted commas, for people whose life had changed because of dementia. So I just found music fascinating. And then I did other things in residential aged care, including running a choir. But somebody, a relative, one time said to me, but we don't have this in the community. We need this in the community. And that stuck with me. And that was the thing that never left the back of my mind, that we needed to have this in the community.
So you've got that idea in your head. Did you leave aged care and start something else? Or how did you come to the point where you were actually thinking, okay, now's the time to start this choir?
So I had this thought in my head, and I was convinced that the community needed a dementia-friendly choir. Now, Siobhan, you belong to a choir. Somebody who lives with dementia may not fit there after a while of, further down the trajectory of dementia, right? So they might be okay at the start, when they first receive a diagnosis, they might not further down the track. And there's reasons for that. But I was very busy at the time, when I thought, well, this is what I needed to do. I was working, I was studying, I was doing a lot of study. I didn't have the time, but I thought, I've got to do this before I die. And I actually thought I would do it after I retired. But when my study came to an end and I had a little bit of a gap in my time, I just decided to go for it. I knew I was going to have to do it in my own time as a volunteer. And how could I find a space to do it? I had just joined a church and I asked them if I could use their hall. And so they let me have the hall for free. Then I called up that person who had told me that this is what the community needed. The community needed a choir. Now, they had forgotten that they'd ever said that. Yeah, they had no recollection. For them, it was a throwaway remark. But for me, it became something that I absolutely needed to do before I die. I said I would give it 6 months. We would give it a go for 6 months. I had experience running a choir in residential aged care, but never in the community. So this was going to be an experiment. We put a few feelers out. Yeah, so a year later, we have seen a lot of joy, a lot of fruitfulness, and people coming back and the word spreading. So that woman was right. The community does need a dementia friendly choir.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what it means to be dementia friendly?
So people who live with dementia progressively lose global ability. And by global ability, I mean everything from the way they see or perceive the world to being able to follow words on a sheet. They might have difficulty learning a new song or being able to sing in harmony. They might have what some people might call behaviors. They might be overly spontaneous to the extent that a choir that's not dementia friendly might find their comments maybe intrusive or disruptive. So a dementia friendly choir then caters and compensates for the abilities that are lost. We kind of put things in place to reduce the what I might call a cognitive burden on people, to make it easy to come there and sing. So the songs we sing, for example, are songs that people already know. And in fact, they pick the songs. And they might not remember that these are the songs that they have picked, but the songs we sing are likely to be familiar to them. They can come in and hold a sheet of lyrics, and if they can't see or don't remember that there's a sheet of lyrics in front of them, they can still sing the songs and experience all the joy that you experience, Siobhan, in your choir. And apart from that, people who live with dementia in the community have difficulty with holding a conversation for a number of different reasons. It's actually quite a complex task to hold a conversation. And so what can happen is, they're not invited so much out with their friends anymore, or friends stop coming to visit because conversation is awkward, it ends abruptly. But when you are sitting with other people who understand what is going on for you, there's more patience, there's more understanding. Now, there are caregivers that come to the choir as well. So the choir is for people who live with dementia and for people who care for them. Now, caregivers also experience quite a big burden of care. Of course, it's joyful. It's a joyful thing to care for a loved one, beyond a doubt. But it does take its toll on caregivers. And the research, shows how much an impact caregiving has on people who live with dementia, more so than on people who are caring for somebody with cancer or some other chronic illness. So caregivers that come to the choir find other people who are doing a very similar journey, and they find people that can relate to their struggles and empathize. We're not here to tell people, to advise, to solve problems. We're here to sing for joy. But in the process of singing, we do address a number of issues, and life is made better. Suffering is alleviated, even if it is for a short time.
You mentioned that you'd worked in aged care previously to this, and that this was a drive for you, that was something that got in your head and you're like, I must do this before I die, which hopefully is many, many years in the future. But you had that drive to do it when you saw the opportunity, you got out there and you did it. Has actually taking that leap changed you? Has doing this work changed you, do you think?
I think working in this field and doing choir, I think feels empowering for me because I feel like there's something I can do to alleviate suffering. I'm not helpless. I don't look at something like dementia and think, oh, well, that's too bad. There's nothing we can do. I feel like I can make a difference. I feel that's very empowering. So yeah, that has changed me. I feel like a more empowered person than I was before.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you did mention that you see the joy that this singing brings people. And you mentioned that first class you had when you were working in residential care, where the woman just started singing. What kind of impact have you seen, I guess, longer term, now that it's been running for a year, on those people that come to Sing for Joy?
Yeah, so I'm a researcher now at heart, and I'd love to do a proper investigation of what the impact has been. But I can tell you what I see. I see people who meet up together afterwards, who've formed friendships from this group. They catch up for a coffee. I see people who say, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do on a Tuesday?" When I said, "Oh gosh, we're taking a break over Christmas," they said, "What am I going to do? This is the time that I sing. This is the time that I am with all of you." I've seen even today, there was a new person who came in, and I was watching her. She had probably moderate stage dementia. She was unable to maybe form the words to sing, but she was singing. And at the end of it all, she came up to me and she just held my hand and said, I was so happy. I felt so much joy. What you're doing is so wonderful. I'm coming back. That kind of the experience of joy during the singing. But also I've noticed after, I've had people say to me, I have somebody who comes and they actually live in residential aged care, but they come to this choir. They come to Sing for Joy. And one of the carers said, gosh, their whole demeanor has changed from the way that they used to be living in that facility. They have become more confident, they're happier. So I feel like singing has made a difference to their life in a more long-term way, which I wasn't expecting. We do perform. We are a performance choir. What is a choir if you don't perform, right? And the performances take our joy to another level. Everybody is buzzing on the day we perform. And we have performed in a couple of residential aged care facilities. And just the feeling that you get after a performance that endures into the next day. And I'll get a text that say, I'm still on a high from this, from the performance that we did yesterday. So this Sing for Joy has proved to actually have brought a lot of joy and a place to belong for somebody who may have lost their friendship group or, starting to feel a little bit isolated. It's somewhere to belong, somewhere where you feel welcome, somewhere where people know your name and there's a friendly smile.
I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing, Sharon. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, Siobhan.
Founder of the dementia choir Sing for Joy, Sharon Stoddart. And I'm keen to hear from you if you know someone who's making the world a better place. You'll find my email address in the episode notes. I'm Siobhan Hunt. See you next time on A Better World Blueprint.